It's not quite budget with our limit being 200, but that's at the very bottom end of the mid-range market. It's got a really nice design. So this is machined from a single block of aluminium, and it feels really nice and looks really nice. It looks a lot more expensive than £229. Nokia has added a really nice highlight on the black model here of this copper colour, which runs around the sides, it runs around the buttons, it runs around the camera and the fingerprint scanner, and looks really classy. It's not the lightest phone around, it's 172 grams, and it's not the thinnest either, it's 8.15 millimeters, but it feels really solid, it feels sturdy, so not the best if you want a really small and light phone, but this should be fine for most people. And although it doesn't look like there's a headphone jack, there actually is, it's just at the top of the phone. We've got a 5.5 inch full HD screen here, but what we haven't got is the new fancy all the rage 18:9 aspect ratio. So this sticks to what you probably used to over the last few years as a 16:9 ratio. So it's maybe not exciting in that sense, but the screen's perfectly good. It looks nice and crisp, the colours are good, brightness isn't too bad either if you go outdoors and it's sunny. We've seen brighter phones, but it's not a big issue here. Now inside is a Qualcomm Snapdragon 630, so a solid new mid-range processor. There's 3 GB of RAM and 32 GB of storage, but there is a micro SD card slot. So it's all reasonable specs for your money there. We've just got a single rear camera, so no dual camera for just over £200, which is fairly understandable. This is a 16 megapixel camera, and it's generally quite good if you are shooting in fairly good light. The camera app loads reasonably fast, then there's a slight delay. You can even record in slow motion, and generally if you're shooting outside in reasonable light you're going to get good results, and there's HDR on offer here, as you can see in this sample. Now where it does fall down is in low light, where you're not going to get very good results at all. And surprisingly, even though this is quite a cheap phone, you can actually record video in 4K. Now at the front of the phone you've got an 8 megapixel camera for your selfies, and again that's fairly decent but nothing to write home about. Moving on to software, as you can see things are fairly plain. We're running Android 8.0 Oreo. All of Nokia's 2018 phones are part of the Android One program, so that means you're going to get stock Android just like you would on the Google Pixel phones that are a lot more expensive. So we've got Google Assistant, a swipe away from the home screen just in the same way. You've got the apps, swipe up, and there's no bloatware. You don't get a bunch of extra apps that you probably don't want, you just get the core Google apps. Mostly what you're getting is a really nice design, you're getting reasonably solid specs, and you're getting stock Android with guaranteed security and OS updates. So if you're looking for a really cheap mid-range phone and you're not too bothered about getting a fancy new 18:9 screen, the Nokia 6 would be a great choice.